Good morning, guys. Today's English lesson, the learning objective is, as a writer, I can plan a myth. So today is our last day of planning. We're going to plan paragraphs 4 and 5 of our myth, and then tomorrow you're going to start writing. So we've spent a lot of time planning this, I realise, but it's given you a chance to practice the kind of language you need to be using, and hopefully it will really help you to produce a good piece of writing for the rest of the week. So today, paragraph 4 is going to be an action sequence. So in Theseus and the Minotaur, this is the bit where he actually defeats the Minotaur. So I want there to be some kind of exciting action going on in your paragraph. It should be the climax of our story, the most exciting part. And to help us do this, we're going to use powerful, precise verbs and sentences of 3. Okay, so we've done both of these before this year, so you shouldn't find it too tricky. A powerful verb or a precise verb are doing words that tell the reader more about what the character is doing. So let's have a think about this. Walked is a verb, but it doesn't tell us much about how the person was walking, does it? So a more powerful verb would be strolled, okay? Because it tells us how the person is walking. It tells us they're relaxed, and they're happy. Okay, so by changing the verb to a more powerful one, we have put more meaning into our writing. So here we've got Theseus walked into the labyrinth. It doesn't tell us much. We know he's walking. It doesn't tell us how he was walking though, does it? So just have a think now about what would be a better verb to put in there instead of walked. Okay, so I'm going to put crept. Okay, creeping is a kind of a walking still, but it tells us a bit more about how he walked in. Okay, it shows that he's being careful. Maybe he's afraid of what's in there. Okay, so it adds more meaning to the sentence, doesn't it? What if I changed crept to strolled in? Theseus strolled into the labyrinth. Well, suddenly that tells us he's kind of confident. He seems happy. He's going into a labyrinth guarded by a beast, and he doesn't seem that frightened of it. Possibly a bit overconfident. We could change it to strided. Theseus strided into the labyrinth. That sounds more confident than cocky, doesn't it? Okay, so lots of different options we could go for there. Have a think about this one here. The Minotaur ran towards Theseus. What's a better verb than ran? Okay, have a think. I'm going to put here charged. Okay, if you just said ran, it means he's running in his direction. It doesn't tell you what his plan is to do. If the Minotaur charges towards Theseus, then it tells us he's attacking him, doesn't it? Okay, so again, it lends extra meaning. So, task 1, this is on the sheet that you can download, but I thought I could put them on the slides as well, so you can just have a go at task 1 now. Turn these boring verbs into powerful verbs. Write as many as you can think of for each one, and you can use a thesaurus if you like. So if you type in thesaurus to Google, you'll be able to find a load of these words. So you type in walked into a thesaurus, and it'll give you other options. So, in your books, you'd write walked, and then a colon, and then you could put crept, comma, strolled, strided. You get the idea. Okay, but see how many you can think of. And do the same for ran, jumped, said, went, and picked up. Okay, it just gets you into the practice, the habit of choosing better verbs than boring verbs. Right, pause here, have a go at that activity, and unpause it when we get to for task 2. Okay, task 2 is sentences of 3. Now, we use these in our Portal story, the story where the characters went back to Tudor times, didn't we? A sentence of 3 is useful when writing an action sequence. It is a way of describing lots of action in one sentence, and it also speeds up the action. So to do this, we list 3 things the character does, separating the first 2 with a comma and putting "and" before the last thing in the list. So let's have a look at this example. Theseus dashed through the Minotaur's legs, turned around, and plunged his sword into the beast's back. Okay, so we've got the first thing that happens is Theseus dashed through the Minotaur's legs. The second thing he does is turn around. And the third thing he does is plunged his sword into the beast's back. So we've got 3 things happening there, 3 things in one sentence. Okay, it speeds the action up. Think of a movie where there's something really exciting going on. Often the cuts, the edits will, the screens will flick from one image to the next really quickly to show that lots is happening at the same time. Okay, so this is your second task. I want you to try writing 4 sentences of 3 that could be used in an action sequence. It could be from your own myth or in any other action situation. There shouldn't be an S there, should there? Okay, so for example, Theseus, whoops, capital T. Theseus darted to the end of the room, grabbed a rock and threw it at the Minotaur. Okay, so we've got Theseus darted to the end of the room, that's the first thing, grabbed the rock, that's the second thing, and threw it at the Minotaur, that's the third thing. And then when we're listing, we put a comma between the things we list, apart from the last thing, because there's an and we don't put commas before or after and. Okay, so you can pause here and try writing your own sentences of 3, which will help you when you do your writing later in the week. Okay, task 3 is just to get a bit more of a plan for paragraph 5. I often find that children, when they're writing their stories, by the time they get to paragraph 5, they've kind of run out of ideas, their hand is tired, they just want to get the story done, so they just say, oh, and then the character went home and they all lived happily ever after. That's not good enough. We need to really, the final paragraph is an important paragraph because it closes off the story, doesn't it? Okay, it rounds it all off. So I've written some questions here to guide you through your planning, just to add some extra detail so you don't feel like you get to paragraph 5 and you just want to finish. So you've got to think, where does your hero go when they have slayed the beast, and how do they get there? Okay, I don't need a detailed description of their journey, but did Theseus travel by boat back to Athens? Okay. What happens as a result of your hero's victory? Who benefits? Are people freed? So you've got to remember, a hero does things for other people. They don't do things for themselves, do they? So your hero in your story should be doing what he or she is doing to help other people. That's what makes a real hero. Okay, so you've got to think, did the slaves get freed? Did the princess get rescued? Did something special get returned to the people of Athens? I don't know, but you've got to make it clear what their victory achieved. How do other people react to the victory? So does your hero return to cheering crowds? Does a king or a queen or a god reward them in some way? Okay. And then finally, is there a moral to the story? Now, you don't always have to spell a moral out, but there could be some kind of moral. That's a real challenge, that. So you want to be thinking about that now, so you're not trying to think of it right at the end. Okay, because if there is a moral, then you want to be weaving that moral into your story earlier on, don't you? Okay. Right, we'll stop there. So today's tasks are the precise verbs, sentences of 3, and then preparing paragraph 5. But all these details are on your sheet as well. Okay, I look forward to reading your plans, and we'll get started with the stories tomorrow. Bye.